hello. To be honest, I don't want to say hello. I don't know why I would still say it, but when you look into etymology, you see that the English language is interesting to say the least. It is packed with loads of double meanings of things. So hello is hell is low. The weekend is weekend. The weekday is weekdays. Um, Parent is the pair that rents. Signature is something to do with a sigil, because it's like a sigil, right? So there are loads of different double meanings to English words, so you just have to be careful. Blessed is be less, like bless is be less, and I actually have blessed tattooed on my arm. So I think I need to get that covered up. But welcome everybody to today's live, where we are going to be discussing how to eradicate the ego. Because the ego is something that is an obstacle to us becoming one with God. Because it is the ego. I think I have an image of this actually. Let me get it up. I drew it out. I have it. So we are infinite, boundless, shapeless consciousness. Okay, I had to draw it out, but it doesn't actually have a physical presence. It's energy. Okay, we can't see it. It's not tangible. Yes. No. Go ahead. Did you book it? Are we going?
You didn't tell me.
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. It depends. You should leave it.
Yeah.
I'll go for like a walk or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a moment. Anytime today, Diva. I'm kidding. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, this is something that represents our consciousness. Okay. So boundless, limitless, doesn't have a shape, doesn't have a physical presence, and this is the ego. So the ego stands in the way between you and the divine. This is the divine, right? So the point is, we need to get past this. There needs to be a death of the ego. Not really like a death, but also / transcendence of the ego. So you are aware of the ego, you see the ego, because we're not trying to block anything out, we're not trying to repress anything. It's just that there's this energy that you can have when you look at the ego, and the ego just vanishes because of the power that you hold. So that's the point of today. We're going to talk about how to do that, right? Because when we get rid of the ego, that is when we can come into union with the divine, with God. And for the sake of just explaining things so people can understand, hi, namaste, Anshumanji. God, when I refer to God, I may refer to he or she sometimes, but probably mostly he, because it's usually God is usually referred to as he. But this is just a matter of language. Okay, language is very limiting, incredibly limiting. Therefore, it's really difficult to describe God in a way in which where we don't have these pronouns. It would sound weird if I said they, I guess. But yeah, it's not to say that God is a man, a white man with white beard in the sky, judging us. Okay, I think if you're here, I think you probably get the gist of that. But yeah, connecting with the divine by transcending the ego. Okay, and there are several ways that we can do that. So, obviously, I'm referring to my favorite book, Osho, The True Name. In the it's talking about Japji Sahib, and Japji Sahib is one of the first things. Okay, it's like the third thing that Guru Nanak Ji said. Guru Nanak Ji is from the Sikh religion. He said after he came out of the river and he became enlightened. I mean, he was always very spiritually inclined, you could say, very gifted spiritually, very wise from a young age, always question things. But at the age of 30, he had a true spiritual awakening, and he actually experienced God. He had the darshan of God, And then, so this is like fresh off the press of like someone who's just had a meeting with God. Okay, so I guess there's a lot of wisdom in it. And it's interesting because today, one of a friend, we'll just call a friend Greg, he told me about this lady called Anandamai Ma, and you know how she represents the divine feminine, and I should really check her out. I checked her out, and oh my god, I learned so much. And there was so much overlap, right? Because she also teaches how to live in a very god-centered way, and I think that is the guarantee of living a life in which you are very you know, your life is full of peace, it's full of love, it's full of joy, it's full of fulfillment. That is the only way. If you live a way in which is god-centered, you will be happy, you will be fulfilled. That is the ultimate truth of life. That is what we all want secretly, okay? But the thing is, we are swayed by Maya. And what is Maya? Maya is anything that distracts you from God, from the divine. And Maya is everything, okay? Maya can be money, Maya can be status, wealth, clothes, TV, series, people, gossip, everything that takes you away from focusing on God is Maya. It is an illusion. It is temporary. Everything in this world that is not God is temporary. Therefore, if we chase something that is the untruth, because the untruth is temporary, right? Then we won't be happy. Hence why I said if you live a very God-centered life, you will be happy, you will be content, you will be living from an expanded awareness, you will be rid of your limited self that you think is you. You think your thoughts are you. You think, where am I from? I'm from England. You know, you think your thoughts are you. You think your emotions are you. You think your name, your story, your gender, all of these things outside of you represent you. So happiness is temporary using your logic. Yeah, happiness is temporary, technically. I mean, I know I said happiness, but I think it's more like bliss that I should be saying. Happiness, of course, it's temporary. There's a period before you're happy, and then you're not happy anymore, right? God gave you carnal desires. Yeah, God did give you carnal desires. It's about controlling them. God gave us a lot. God gave us guns and bombs and all that, you know? It doesn't mean that we just play with them as we please and just use them on whomever we want, all right? So how do we transcend the ego so that we can become one with God? Well, there are two ways that we can do this. Two primary ways in which we can use it, okay? So let's get my notes out. Okay, first of all, so one of the things that is God won't help you. That's Bud, that is your opinion, I suppose. We are of the opinion where I will be talking, I guess, to the opposite of that. I'd say I'm happy, I've got a job I love, a family, 4 kids and wife, and I'm an atheist. Interesting. Well, I guess if that works for you, that works for you. But the thing is, how can you know that you've like attained all the happiness that you can when you've not actually experienced everything? You know, there's a whole world out there. There's boundless awareness that exists. Thank you so much. I don't want a lot, Jason. Thank you. Has it got sugar in it? Thanks. Just have my Indian tea. What? When women reach maximum pleasure, why do they shout? Oh my God! Exactly. They're remembering God, right? We're always remembering the divine. What was my point? Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm referring to Osho, right? And Osho refers to the Sikh Holy Scripture. And in the Holy Scripture, one of the first things that is mentioned is the Mool Mantra, okay? And one of the things that it says in the Mool Mantra is Gurprasad. And Gurprasad means with God's blessing, with God's kirpa, okay? That's God's blessing. So this is important. So it's saying that, you know, you can't have anything without God's blessing. What this does is it eradicates people's ego, okay? Because it could be like, oh, look, I'm spiritually enlightened now. Yeah, like I did this, I meditate, I go to the temple, I do this now. It's all me. What happens there is that a new spiritual ego forms, and this is worse than the ego that you had prior to that. Because all I need is right in front of me. I don't need to go and experience things. I just need my kids and wife to be happy. That is what brings me happy. Well, see, the thing is, you're actually relying on something outside of you to be happy. What if, God forbid, anything can happen, right? Like, what if one day they just left? Okay, the thing is, I don't want to like be like, then you say, oh no, they would never leave me or whatever. But anything can happen. Let's just say they weren't in your life anymore. Something happened where you became isolated from them. You're stuck in a different country for 10 years or something like that, okay? Are you not going to be happy anymore? Is your happiness not dependent upon somebody? You can't keep happiness because it's like the way it changes is stronger so we can withstand. Yeah, see, the thing is, I'm actually not talking about just happiness. Like, I'll retract my statement. It's more a sense of peace, a sense of contentment, a sense of bliss, a sense of expanded awareness away from this temporary story that you are telling yourself, from these conditioned patterns of thinking and habits and action. I'm thoroughly interested by religion. I love that it brings people purpose and happiness. But for me personally, I don't need a God to keep me happy. I don't think happiness exists without purpose. Interesting. Well, the thing is, you know what? Always keep an open mind. Because I feel like, yeah, that's what I would say. If you're here, keep an open mind. Otherwise, there's no point being here and listening to me, right? Unless you're just going to sit here and disagree with everything I have to say. If God is your purpose, that's great. My purpose is my family. Okay, great. I'm not saying God is my purpose. I'm saying my purpose is to live with truth. And God is the truth. And I feel like maybe I sound like a radical religious person, but I'm actually not. It's like I said, really, like God, the word God, right? The noun God gets a bad rap. I'm talking about the divine. I'm talking something bigger than all of us, okay? Because we are all living under this illusion that this is the reality of things, but it's not. This is not the reality of who you are. This life, this body, these thoughts, these emotions, this name, this story, this is not who you are. This is not your truth. Your truth is far more expansive than that. This is like tiny. This is like tinier than a grain of sand. This life, you know? What we're talking about is something that is eternal, something that is infinite. Something that is so far expansive that our minds don't even reach to like 1% of it. Trusting that God has a bigger plan we don't fully understand is a way to stay focused on positivity. Yes, that is definitely something we're going to be coming on to. Okay, so Gurprasad. What is Gurprasad? Okay, I'm going to be talking for a bit and then I'll read the comments. Gurprasad is with God's blessing. When we remember that nothing happens in our life without God's blessing, then we don't have an ego, right? Like I said, there's a spiritual ego that can occur where we think, oh, I did this. Oh, I'm now meditating. Oh, now I'm like this now. You know, especially for people who do have a spiritual awakening, who think, oh, look, I've had a spiritual awakening. Now I'm this brand new person and I'm better than everybody else because I understand God. I'm woke now. Everybody else isn't woke. You're all asleep. And then, you know, what can happen is it's because you kind of know a little bit more now because you're awake, you know, your consciousness has awoken to some extent. Now you look at other people and maybe you look at them with what's the word, it's a word where you think that you're better than someone. I don't know, can't recall. I can't recall, but it's you look at them, hi Wendy, you look at them and you think you're better than them, right? So this is your spiritual ego. So when we remember that it is because of God's blessing, like God did this for you, God made you go through a spiritual awakening, hi everybody, then you don't have that ego because you're like, it's not me meditating, it's God meditating through me, right? It's anything that is happening in your life, anything that you are doing, you think it to God, right? You what's the word, you devote it to God, like it's God doing it for you, through you, kind of thing, rather than you doing it, okay? So this is one of the ways that we can become away from the ego, the spiritual ego, which like I said, is very dangerous, okay? The second thing is living with God's command. The way that you can be happy in your life, okay, happy, I said happy again. The way that you can be peaceful, content, right? Although, like, yeah, happy is very transient, but like, you know, when there are people who just have positivity that emanates out of them, right? There's this love, endless love. They're unburdened. They're just in a state of bliss at all times. Yes, this exists. If you're not aware of it, it does exist. You know, there's people who exist like that. And how can we be like that? Well, we can be like that. Everybody can be like that. But you have to become unburdened. And how do you become unburdened? Well, you become unburdened by surrendering to life, by accepting what is. When you worry, what is the cause of worry? Worry comes from the fact that you think something is not happening the way in which it should. Something is happening in a way that you didn't write. You know, this you've written a script in your head, like we all do, right? Oh my God. We all write a script in our head, right? I'm constantly doing this. I'll be thinking about someone and I'll be thinking about a conversation that I want to have with them, and I'll rehearse everything in my brain, okay? Everything gets rehearsed, like what they're gonna say, then what I'm gonna say, what if they say this, what if they say this, then I'll say this, and then I'll say this. Right? Like, I'm planning things. This is not what we want, because this is overthinking. Anybody who overthinks can never be in bliss, right? Because it's literal opposite of peace. Peace is nothing, okay? Peace is silence, it's stillness. Overthinking is the opposite of that. They're like two different extremes. So if you are someone who overthinks, you don't have peace. The mind needs to be quietened, okay? Then it needs to be in a state of non-action. And how do we get this? I'll come on to that, how we can get there. Hi, it's very rare to come across someone who radiates happiness and positivity nowadays. See, well, okay, maybe there are different ways I can answer that. Okay, first of all, that's a belief. You have that expectation that it's very rare, hence why it will be very rare. Second of all, maybe it's your vibration. You know, we attract people on the vibration that we're actually on. Because I'm on a certain vibration and I attracted someone into my life, not that they're physically in my life, but to even become aware of someone who radiates this and to learn about this individual. I attracted that. Not everybody has attracted that into their life. Do you understand? So it's about that, and I know it's possible. I see that. I've been learning about this individual, Ananda Maima, right? And she radiates that. Everybody says she radiates that, right? And what is evidence other than real life testimony from loads of people, right? What is more plausible or credible than that? So there are people who do radiate that. The thing is, the reason you think that is because a majority of people are living under an illusion. They're living in Maya. They are chasing material things. They're looking outside of them for joy, for happiness, and they never find it. Bring to me someone who has all the material, whatever they want in the world, right? And they have true peace. They have contentment and all of that. The thing is, you can have true peace and have all those things, but the thing is, when you have true peace and contentment, you don't need anything. The thing is, it will come to you naturally because your vibration is so high, right? Because we get things when we don't actually chase them, but they won't even need them. Like Anandamai, she would help thousands of people. She had clearly a lot of power. She was in direct connection with the divine. She could have just gone like that and manifested a Rolls Royce or whatever she wanted, right? But she didn't, because she didn't feel the need for that. Because a true person, a true sad, a true guru, a true saint, the marker of them is that they don't need that. I mean, I know with Osho he had Rolls Royces, but they were gifted to him, and I guess he just used them, you know, like whatever. But I don't think he actually like went out of his way to buy these things, because you just don't need them. When you're on that level, this shit is like nothing. It's nothing. This is like a monopoly. You have money in this lifetime, you're winning a monopoly. It's the equivalent of that. I meant more in public. I really see people who will smile first or say good morning first. Really? I feel what everyone is worried and for. Oh wow, oh that's sad. I see people all the time. I say it all the time. Okay, not all the time. I often. You know what? Redfish Games, why don't you start? Why don't you be the change you want to see in the world? And then slowly you'll attract people from that. But yeah, going with God's will. God's will is happening all the time, okay? We are like I don't even think I can exemplify how limited we are, okay? How limited our thoughts are, how limited our intelligence is compared to the divine, compared to the infinite, eternal, ever expanding awareness, beingness that exists, that is the creator of us. We are the children, okay? It's almost like, think about Frankenstein, okay? Think about Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's God is his creator, right? And Frankenstein, I guess it's a really good example because it's like Frankenstein wasn't like that smart, right? He was a monster or whatever. And his God, his dad, well, his creator, is far more intelligent than him. He created him. You see? So we are the creation of God. Yes, God is within us, but it's about, are we one with the God, right? So, like, for example, my sister, she would always say, yeah, but I'm God, but I'm God, but I'm God. And then I would say that too in conversations, like, yeah, but I'm God. Okay, but are you one with God? Because there can't be Priya and God. There can only be God, or there can only be Priya. You know, God exists, but there's like a blockage. There's a separation between you and God to have a direct, you have direct communion with God. And that's what we want, okay? That is the point of our lives, to follow the truth, to live with the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is God. And look, I'm not here who's a religious person who's like, oh my God, I'm gonna convince you to like follow a religion now. Which one is it gonna be? Like, you're probably sitting there trying to guess like which one it is. But it's none, because the divine doesn't have a religion, okay? These are just things that humans have created so we can understand, so we can have pathways to God, to the divine, okay? These are just different ways of getting there. They're different because different languages are used, different times, different levels of consciousness, etc. people had. So different things align with different people, right? Different things work with different people. Different mantras work for different people. You know, if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, why are you gonna do it? If it works for you, if it doesn't work for you, but it works for someone else. Everybody's unique. We all have our own different paths to the divine. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. Generally, I find this with people with cultural indifference. For example, I'm a white British man, and whenever I see someone of a different color, I always have to engage. You have to engage? First, whether that be saying hello or good morning. Why is that? That's interesting. No one is outside of God's will. The birds, the trees, plants, nothing, okay? Because God is everywhere. There is no way you can go where God isn't. So God's will is taking place at all times. And what you can do is to say, God, whatever it is, I accept it. You give me sorrow, I'm going to accept that with gratitude, with reverence, okay? You give me joy, I accept that. You give me poverty, I accept that. You give me anything, I accept it. I'm grateful for it. Let's say your nudes got leaked, okay? What an awful thing to happen, right? Oh my God. People literally commit suicide when that happens. But what if they developed an attitude, right? It's a simple change in attitude of, oh, you know, what a cool experience, and my nudes got leaked. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, to, you know, showing me what it feels like to be going through something like this heartbreak, this embarrassment. I mean, it's only embarrassment if you think it is, right? It's not like it has to be embarrassment. Everybody's different. Some people actively put their nudes out there, right? So why is it different for them? It's because they choose to see in a different way. Not that I am telling you to put your nudes out or anything. Please don't take this wrong way. Hi. But It's an experience. You're experiencing poverty. Say, God, I'm from England. Say, God, thank you. Thank you for this experience of poverty. What a cool experience that I'm having here on this earthly plane as a human being. Remember that you being a human being is not absolute. It's not everything. All you did was forget your true nature which lies in the divine, okay? And by going with God's will, by stepping out of the way, you're not saying, oh God, you know, you're the you know nothing, I know everything, I'm gonna write my own script, you know, I clearly know better than you. I have like really warm water and I have tea and I don't know. I am Indian, yes, but what is being Indian? I'm Indian for a short while. Let's see for how many years. Oh no, did I take it out? Okay, no I didn't. Okay, there's a story I want to read to you, okay? About, I am Indian. What does it even mean to be Indian? Okay, about how we think that we are responsible for things, but we're not. Where is it? Okay. There was an old lady who owned a rooster that crowed every morning as the sun came out. The old woman became haughty and arrogant. She told the villagers to be careful of their manners towards her because if she went away to another place with her rooster, the sun would rise no more for them. Now, it was a fact that every day when the cock crowed, the sun came out. But the villagers laughed and made fun of her. They told her she was out of her senses. Finally, in anger, the old woman left and went to another village. There, also, the cock crowed, and the sun came out. She thought, now they will beat their breasts and cry. The rooster is no longer there to make the sun rise. Your arguments and the old woman's logic are very similar. It has never happened that the cock has crowed and the sun did not come out. Yet, you have it all backwards. But who can explain this to the old woman and make you understand too? When the old woman saw the sun came out in the new village, she was certain that it had risen there. That if it had risen there, it could be nowhere else. Your intelligence and capacity to think is also so limited. God is not because of you. You are because of him. Your breath flows from him, not because of you. It is not you who prays. It is he who prays. There's the story of a lizard. Once, his friends invited him to go for a walk in the jungle. I am sorry, I can't go, he answered, because if I were to leave, who will support the ceiling of the king's palace? If the ceiling falls, the responsibility will be mine. The poor thing thinks so much depends on it, and if it is possible for a lizard to think so, then I guess it is for us too, right? Hi. We think that we make the world go round. We think that if I don't used to think this. I used to think, oh my God, if I stop thinking, if I just stop doing so much, like, just putting in so much effortful action and trying to make things happen, that the world would stop spinning. And how many of us think this? That if we just stopped doing, you know, just doing and thinking and worrying, and stressing about things, that the world would stop. People would die. Systems would fail. I'm very good, thank you. How are you? You know, that the world would just collapse if we just stopped doing things. Because we place so much responsibility on ourselves. We think that we... can I do donation, please? I don't have the adequate amount of... no, I do have an adequate amount. It's the perfect amount, but I don't think you can through this. But I mean, you can email me and we can sort something out. But it doesn't work through this yet. I have to get to 1,000 subs first, and then I can accept donations. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, things are always happening, right? We're breathing. We're not consciously breathing. Our kidneys are working. Our liver is working. Our eyes are working. Our body is working. The world is working. Systems are running. The sun is coming out. The moon is coming out. Plants are growing. Animals are moving. You know, all of these things are happening, and we're not actually doing anything. We don't have to do anything. God is just making things happen, because everything happens with divine order, right? The divine is doing these things. So if we can just kind of step out of the way and let God do his thing, her thing, okay? And let's not swim against the current. Let's flow with the current. isn't it much easier to go with the flow of life than to resist it? This stream is about the ego and how we can transcend the ego so that we can become one with God. So I'm referring to some writing by Osho, where it's a book by him called The True Name. It's about a Sikh scripture, and it explains how we can transcend our ego. I mean, it explains all of the Sikh scripture, Japji Sab, if you're aware of it. But yeah, it explains the reality of life, really, about the true nature of life, which is ever expanding, infinite, eternal consciousness, awareness, and how we can kind of transcend the ego, transcend the small self to align and become one with the big self. Because this is not your true story, okay? This is not who you are. You're not just Shreya Sana, who's of a certain age, of a certain ethnicity, who has a certain personality, who has a certain story. Because Shreyas is temporary. But God is infinite, right? God is everlasting. So what we want to do is become one with the truth. And the truth is that which is forever, right? So I'm teaching people how to do that. And one of the ways you can do that is accept whatever happens in your life. God gives you something, you accept that shit. You're like, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. You accept it like it's a piece of gold, okay? That is how you detach from life. You know, when they say become detached. But how do you actually do that? You do that by just accepting what is. Take it. He gives you joy, you take it. He gives you sorrow, he gives you pain, he gives you suffering. You accept it. You just say thank you. That's it. Because look, everything in life is temporary. Pain is temporary. Emotions are just temporary. They're 1 minute high. Himanshu, you said hello. Like, oh, I'm from England. I thought you kept saying hello like 10 times or something. I'm like, hey, I see you. It is so hot. I don't know why I'm wearing this. Oh my god. Should I change? Can you give me a moment? I'll be back. Let me just change. Okay. Boom. I've changed. You can say hello 10 times if you want, but I don't know. I don't know what you'd be getting out of this life if you just keep saying hello. And I mean, you could ask a question, you know? But your choice, you have free will. Do what you want, honey. So yeah, I hope that made sense, Shreyas. A lot of people suffer because they don't accept. They're in conflict with life, right? Because there are two ways to live. You are in conflict or you are surrendered. Being surrendered, what's surrendered? It's like, okay, I give up control. You're my caretaker now. You do as you please. What is being in conflict? Being in conflict is like, no, this is not right. This is not right. I don't want it like that. I want green. You gave me blue. I wanted a son. You gave me a girl. I wanted this car. You gave me this car. It's like a kid at Christmas, you know? Like, you know the stories you see of those kids at Christmas? You're like, the kid has like 30 presents and he's like, I didn't want this one. Okay, think of Harry Potter. You know the son. I can't remember his name. Harry Potter's adopted family's son, and he gets like 36 presents. He's like, but I got 36 last time, I wanted 37. You know, it's like that. We act like that with God, right? God gives us something, and the thing is, okay, you lost that job, you lost that person, someone cheated on you, someone, I don't know, died, something happened. Who are you to say that wasn't the best for you? How do you know God's not protecting you? How do you know? It's all about like the way you think about things. When you can change how you think about things and think, okay, you know what, this is hurting me right now, but I trust God. Was I born in England? I was not born in England. I was born in India. Thanks, Anshuman. Cocaina. Interesting. I feel like, did we speak yesterday, Satish? You like cocaine, huh? I was gonna say good for you, but I don't think it is good for you, but it is what it is, right? It's God's will. If God intends that for you, then God intends that for you, right? Everything happens through God's will. So it is written. See, God's will, you could also say, is fate or destiny. And I feel like people think that's very like old school, like, oh my god, what, fate and destiny? Yeah, because we're so advanced now. We have all this technology. We're so advanced. The thing is, in the West, people are ridden with anxieties and tension, right? Why? They have everything, right? People in the East, they have disease, they have poverty, overpopulation, right? We don't look at them as it's a first world country. We know it's a third world country. And in the West, they have everything. You have homes, you have healthcare, you have clean water, you have roads, all of these things. Yet, why are they ridden with anxieties and tension? Why do they believe God is dead? It is because they are in conflict with God. There's a point that I wrote, hang on. It's in here. Okay, I have made so many notes. I hope you're ready for me. You love my accent. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Yeah, okay. The West is full of anxiety and tension because it has tried to impose its will on existence. It is swimming against the current of life. It is not swimming with the current of life. In the East, there is no rushing. There is relaxation. They take time. I look like your ex-girlfriend. Interesting. You know, they're being more. It's effortless living. Hi, Jameson. Oh, you ready? Sorry. I thought we weren't acquainted, but we are. I look like your ex. So, like I said, there are two ways of living. In conflict is where you feel your will is different to the whole, and then in surrender you feel part of the whole. What do I mean? So if you're living in a way in which you are in conflict with life, you think that you are separate from life. You don't see the interconnectedness of life. You don't see how the way that you are, the things that you think, the things that you believe, and your energy, how that impacts your life, because it's a feedback loop. We're constantly feeding back in and out of life, right? Because you are not separate from the outside. You're not separate from your physical reality. You are one with it, but you don't see that, and hence why there's a bigger distance between you and life and the divine. And the point is to surrender to life so you feel part of the whole, so you understand and you can see how who you are, how you think, and how what you believe, and how you like your level of awareness, how that informs life, how that changes life. You see signs. Life communicates with you, right? Through numbers, through words, through this life. The fact that are you a nun or a father or a priest? I am neither. Forget X, we are an anxiety topic. I don't know, yeah. Who am I? I'm just consciousness, baby. I'm not Priya. I'm definitely not a priest or a nun or a father. I'm just expanded awareness. I'm just a vessel through which God is manifesting itself out of me, and I'm just a vessel through which God's words are just coming out to you. So that maybe you can kind of, take on this wisdom. But yeah, I digress. The thing is, when we surrender to life, what we do is, like I said, we diminish the ego, right? Because the ego thrives in conflict, but it is destroyed in surrender. So when we can surrender, we become unburdened. The unburdened person is a sage, right? When you look at a sage, a saint, they look so full of joy. They look so full of happiness. Of Ananda Mai Ma, right? If you Google her, what was it? Something of bliss. Like that's her literal name. You can see the bliss in her eyes. She's in direct connection with the divine. She was born that way, and she teaches people how to also get to that stage to eliminate suffering, because we are all suffering to some extent when we continue to believe in this Maya, in this illusion, because we are the divine, right? But we have forgotten that we are of the divine. We are the divine. We need to be connected to the divine. Being connected to the divine is your purpose in life. You could say it is the most important thing. There is no rest unless you are connected to the divine. Period. You think you're happy, but you're not actually happy. You don't know, because you don't know the extent to which you can feel happy. It's like scientists who say that they've discovered 5% of the ocean. How do you know that you've discovered 5% of something that you don't know the full like scope of it? You don't know what's in the whole of the ocean, but yet you've discovered 5%. Who said this? Who made this statistic? How do you know it's 5%? We've discovered 5% of space. Okay, but how do you know? How can you discover 5% of something that is ever expanding? You know? You're welcome. You're welcome, Himanshu. How did I get this knowledge? There are different ways. Reading, listening to some people, meditation, life experience, with wisdom, things like that. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something like, for example, right now you have this wisdom, right? It probably makes sense to some of you, it probably doesn't make sense to some of you. You do because of drugs and life experience. Well, yeah, hey, everything is a learning experience, right? The most intelligent person knows that one can learn from everything and everyone, and drugs are sadly there. What drugs did you learn from? And share your life experiences. I'd love to know. So yeah, he who is unburdened is a sage. So Osho says, have no desires, have no goals, and have no expectations. And this sounds wild, right? Because even when I read this right now, I was like, what? What do you mean? Have no goals, have no desires? Like, what do you mean? Like, that is the opposite of what life tells you, right? Everybody tells you, have desires, have goals. It's really, really good. Like, you need to have a goal for this, end of the month goal, end of the week goal, end of the year goal, be productive, blah, 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 blah. I'm not against productivity, but I mean, what even is productivity? Are we machines? Like, what? This is just a fake system that we live in, okay? Tom Ford, the guy who created Ford, the company, he introduced this whole like 9 to 5 shit, this whole like reproductive and all of this stuff, okay? So it's a rat race that you're in. So when we can take a step back from the fact that the world we live in is not natural. It is not natural to go to a job 9 to 5, to be somewhere where you absolutely hate it, to then wait for the weekend so you can then drink yourself into oblivion and kind of feel okay, I guess. Forget the kind of misery that is your life. When we can step away from that, we can understand that it's okay to not have goals and desires, because life just works through you. Because us having goals and desires is us imposing our will on life. And like I said, we are very small compared to God. Small as in, like, what part am I talking about? There is a small part to you and there's a big part to you. The small part of you is your ego. It's, oh, okay, I want this, it's me, my name is Priya, I do so and so, I need so many subscribers, I need to have this, people need to say this about me, people need to say this about, that would be the small me. But the bigger me, God, is like, Priya, sit down, get onto YouTube. If you feel good when you share this, and this information is just flowing out of me. Yeah, I have notes, but it's not like I'm reading a script or anything. These are just things that I'm passionate about, and it's not Priya who's doing this. This is being channeled, because everything that comes out of you is coming through from God, because it's God's will always. What's the goal of life? To live with the truth, to be aligned with the truth. If we don't have any desired goal, you won't turn into a vagabond. Because I'm not saying sit and do nothing. I'm saying don't impose your will on life, okay? Life will present things to you. Life will present opportunities to you, right? You could be sitting there, Pankaj, at home, and then someone calls you about an opportunity that really aligns with you, and then it's up to you to be like, okay, yeah, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it, right? You'll feel certain things in your body. You'll feel if it's right. You'll feel it in your core. You'll feel it in your gut. Is this right? And that's God. God is giving you that feeling. How aware are you of that feeling? How likely are you to follow that through and to listen to yourself? Because the truth is all within you. God is not telling you to just lie on your bed and do nothing. Okay, that's not what I'm trying to say here. All I'm saying is there's no need to impose your will, to take loads of action and make it happen and be like, no, it has to happen. Because look, what did I say? In the West, people impose their will. How happy are they? How happy are they? Why are they running to the East? Why are all these people running to India to find peace and to learn more about life and to learn how to relax and meditate and all this? When the East has not, like, well, what does the East have? Right? Overpopulation. I'm just like stereotyping here because this is general stereotype of the East. Obviously, has so much more than that. But yeah, right? Like from a Western perspective, what does the East have? Okay, not really anything. They don't even compare in terms of material gain. But yet people from the West are running over there. They're doctors, lawyers, CEOs. They're leaving everything behind and they're going to find something else. Why would they do that? Are they crazy? Are they out of their minds? Someone who doesn't believe in this probably will think that, right? What is the truth? God is the truth. Come on, East has lots of problems. Yeah, East has lots of problems, but they have faith. They have God. I'm not fully agree with. That's okay. You don't have to agree with me. It's good that you have your own you're using your own discernment. Yeah, I'm not saying they don't have problems, but they don't have problems like the West does. There are different problems that people have, right? Different types of suffering. The West suffers from the inside. They feel like God is dead. But if a trust will come to my home, I feel angry. Isn't that negativity? That's so interesting, Pankaj. I was talking about property and owning things and possession. As humans, I just think it's so silly when we think that we own things. Like, you're gonna die, you're not gonna take anything with you. Your land is not yours. What does that even mean? None of this shit is yours. Everything is temporary. You are temporary. How can you own anything? We don't own anything. Are you crazy? Sorry. I'm not just saying you, but like in general. Like, who do we think we are? Owning shit. And who are you? Like, ask yourself, who am I to tell someone that they can't come over here because it's my land? Everything is God's, okay? God owns everything. God created everything. Nothing is yours. You have to step out of the way, honey. Pankaj has to step out of the way, and Pankaj has to identify with God, with the witness, with the divine, and that's where your happiness is. There is no anger there. God is like, you're my children. Go anywhere you want, baby cakes. I have been both the East, and I feel West is ahead, a much better place than the East in every aspect. That's interesting. Okay, well, that's your opinion, right? But why is it that we see people from the West going to the East to find themselves? People are more respectful in the West. I get that. I feel like we're kind of steering off topic. Because we're talking about God, okay? And I feel like I said, in the West, God is dead, right? To them. Nietzsche said, God is dead. Why did he say that? It's because there's a lack of divinity, connection with the divine. Ananda Ma said, if you know yourself, you know God. You know God, you know yourself. And that is the truth. How much do you know yourself? How much do you accept everything that comes your way? A man who's okay, not just a man, but a woman as well. He who is unburdened is a sage, right? What's a sage? A sage is a very wise person. They have no goals. They have no desires or expectations of their own. A man who has weight is still ignorant, and his weight can harm others. Hatred, anger, malice, and violence follow the man weighted down by anxiety. So look, A man who's weighed down, a man who's in conflict with life, will naturally be more violent, will naturally have more hate and anger and malice. Someone who surrenders to life does not have any of these things. There is a way in which you can live in the world and not get angry and not have anger, like hate or malice. There is a way in the world in which you can be full of love and compassion and empathy and fulfillment and bliss. How familiar does this sound to you? Like, like, what do you think? Do you think I'm just chatting shit or what? Tell me. I hear you, Himanshu. I hear you, Himanshu. I think that is your experience of things, right? It's not the absolute truth. Maybe you're seeing it for a particular reason. You know, when we change, things outside of us change. Everything changes. The things we experience, the people that we meet, the thoughts that we have change. So as soon as you change, things outside of you will change. Maybe you'll see things, yeah, I guess you're bound to Manchu. You know, things outside of you will also continue to change. But yeah, someone who is unweighted, unburdened, love, compassion, pity, and prayer follow in the wake of the weightless person. So there are people, when you look at them, you can tell they look really burdened by something, right? They look really heavy. Their energy is really shallow. Like, it's very intense. It's very dense. Then they're not really emitting much light. You can, Priyansh, Bharati Sanskriti is the greatest. I respect your opinion. You know, it's everybody has their own path, right? There are different schools in which you can get to the divine. That is what it is. Bharati Sanskrit is only golden books or in our thoughts. Okay, we're gonna talk through this, okay? Lest I get distracted. But yeah, when you are unburdened, you are light. There's a glow to you. There's a particular energy that you emanate, right? And then naturally, you don't have to try to be loving. You don't have to try to be compassionate or kind or feeling fulfilled. These things are a natural byproduct of you being an unburdened person, a person who's become one with the expanded awareness that exists. Where do I live? I live in England. And the only way to annihilate the ego is through the Hukam, because it is the ego that is causing is becoming burdensome for people. Because what is the ego? The ego is the small self. It is the conditioned patterns of thoughts and actions in your life, but you are not that. Tell me you understand this. Tell me you understand what I'm trying to say. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are simply this boundless awareness that exists. And you can know what this is through different ways, through meditation, through self inquiry, right? Let me get it up in the ways that Anandamai said that you can do this. Okay. You can do the inquiry of the true nature of the self. Who are you? Tell me, should I'm guessing you're saying, should we be compassionate towards illegal immigrants, lawbreakers? I appreciate your question. Of course. Of course. We should be compassionate towards everyone and everything. Everything is worthy of compassion. Everything and not everyone. The thing is, look, it's difficult for normal people to get it, okay? It's difficult, but what I'm trying to teach is, I'm teaching you how to attain a certain avasta, a certain level of consciousness of being, right? Which seems crazy to you, right? For the normal lay person living in the society in which you are, it seems crazy that I would say, I mean, first of all, what have illegal immigrants done? I don't even believe in geopolitical borders. Like, what absolute pile of poo is that? And then lawbreakers. I mean, a lot of law is created to protect property rights. It's created for rich people to protect rich people. You understand that, right? It's not for the poor man. It's a system. It's a rigged system. But lest we go into that, the point is, look, focus on your life, okay? Meditation is good, but do you think it would be ideal in a place like India where it's too much traffic, no peace at all, though it's the land who gifted yoga and meditation to the world? You can meditate anywhere. Those people who think that they need quietness to meditate are wrong. Someone who truly meditates will meditate anywhere, because what is meditation? Meditation is but simply presence. It's mindfulness. It's awareness. And you can be aware anywhere. You know, anywhere. I meditate in places where there are people all the time. And I can meditate perfectly fine, because the thing is, look, you're not trying to block anything out. You're accepting everything. You see, everything comes down to acceptance. Accept whatever is. Accept it all. You have to just allow it to be. When we're like, no, this can't happen. No. Like, we're trying to grab. It's like energetically grabbing, stopping, pulling, twisting to stop things from happening. Or we can just put our hands up and just say, you know what, whatever. Like, God, you do you, honey. Like, I love what you do, okay? I'm a fan of your work. You create any piece of art, I'm there for it. You want me to experience poverty? All right, cool. I'm there for, I'm cool. I'm with you. All right. And look, there are so many arguments that you can have against this. Like, oh my God, what if you're still trying to, like, stop me? You know? You're just missing the point, though. You're actually missing the point. That's not your case. I'm sure, like, you know, you can apply it into your own life. And if it's not something you want to do, then I guess there's no point watching this, right? Because you're not understanding. And I'm here to help people who get it to some extent, to get onto that. Like, it will resonate with you. It either resonates with you as the truth or it doesn't. And I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm not here to convince anybody. Like, it's just like, you take what you take, right? I can't go against God's will. I'm not trying to impose my will upon you. I'm not gonna force you to believe something that you don't believe. You either believe it or you don't believe it. It's as simple as that. You understand what I'm trying to say or you don't. That's okay. No, I appreciate your opinion. I'm just stating the fact that I'm not here to impose my will upon anybody, you know? But of course, it's good to question things. It is. But I think sometimes questioning things isn't that great. You have so much knowledge, but knowledge isn't always great. Sometimes you just have to be open and willing to just understand things, and maybe don't think of it in a logical way. Put away your logic. What does it feel? How does it feel when I say these things to you? Does it resonate with you as the truth? Because the truth will resonate as the truth. There's no denying that. It resonates as truth, and then the mind's like, no, what about this? What about this? You know? But in your heart somewhere, you know, it's the truth. And it's the case. If it takes you time to get to that point where you can fully embody the truth and surrender to that truth, you will, but you will with God's grace, right? Gurprasad, that's what we talked about, right? It's not going to happen because of you. It's always done without effort. All things are happening effortlessly. If you don't mind me asking, what is your religion? I don't have a religion. I don't have a religion. I love learning about Sikhi. I feel like it resonates with me as the truth, but I choose not to identify with anything, because the more identities you have, the more strongly you identify with your religion, with your ethnicity, with your home country, with patriotism, you know, all of these things. The further away you are from God, because God, I follow God, like God, the divine, the creator of us all. There is only one God. There's only one God. There are many paths to God, which are religions, right? But there is only one God. There's only one creator. There's only oneness that exists in the whole of life. And it's the truth. Oneness is the truth. God is the truth. So yeah, I don't have any of these things because, like I said, the divine, God is everywhere. Where is God not? Maybe that's a better question. Where is God not present? And then I'll say, nowhere. God is everywhere. There is nowhere God isn't. Maybe I should explain what God is, okay? What my definition of God is, because everybody's definition of God is very different. My definition of God is awareness, it is consciousness, it is the thing that is eternal, the thing that is infinite, the thing that is ever expanding, the thing that is self-created, that will never die, the thing that is without hate, without fear, has always existed, will always continue to exist. That is what God is to me. I too hate extremism. See, that what that is a pendulum. You feel something towards something. You're supporting extremism. You're giving extremism your energy because you hate it. When we are for or against something, we're giving that thing energy. Pendulums are energy systems, and they want your energy. They want you to hate them. They want you to love them. They want you to talk about them. They want your energy. Going to a anti-war protest is the same as not like as supporting the war. You understand? You're giving a system your energy. Read the book. Read the book. Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. Do you believe Lord Mahavishnu is the only God? No. I don't really know much about Mahavishnu, do you? But God is God. God is just one. Like, whatever. Like, it's a different name, okay? It's a different name, y'all. Like, y'all. Sorry, I'm not American, but I just like saying y'all. It's just like such a quicker way of saying you all. Way to state the obvious. Yeah. What are your thoughts on LGBTQ? I don't have any thoughts. I don't have any opinions. I don't really care. Like, in a respectful way, as in, I don't care because it's nothing to do with me. Who am I to have an opinion on things? Besides, look, when you are too opinionated, you are away from God. You are not with God. God doesn't have a religion. God doesn't have thoughts. God doesn't have beliefs. God doesn't have views. God doesn't have opinions. God has none of this. God is the observer. God is the watcher, okay? There's something really cool about this. You are not the doer, you are the silent witness. You are not the thinker, you are the pure awareness that is aware of the thinking. Does that make sense? It's not you. You sit down and meditate, you're not meditating. You're being meditated through. You have a spiritual awakening. You didn't do anything to have that spiritual awakening. God bless that upon you. It's God's will. If your kid turned out to be gay, what will your reaction be? I don't know. Like, I don't know why we're asking these questions, to be honest. I don't know. I guess I'll have to see. It wouldn't be, oh my God, I'm going to murder you. How dare you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to answer the question. It's not the topic that we're talking about right now. It is only by fully welcoming and surrendering to the totality of life without rejection or resistance that we can transcend the confines of the ego and awaken to our boundless nature. See, what's happening with Himanshu is that he is not, like, grasping the thing that is true. His mind is just like, oh my God, this, oh my God, that, oh my God. Oh. It's like going off to different places, but he isn't really grasping what I'm trying to say. I don't feel he's not really listening. He's hearing what he wants to hear, okay? Because I think God is everywhere. You said that God is truth. You should accept it. Yeah, God is everywhere. God is the truth, and yeah, we should accept everything that happens. God's will is God's will, you know, it's the truth. Look, we are trapped in a limited sense of self by conditioned patterns of thinking and behavior. I'm not mocking you. I'm not mocking you. I apologize if it seems like mocking you. I just feel like we're going off on tangents. Like, I'm trying to talk about different things, I guess, and I just feel like we're going off on tangents. We're not really getting, like, I can't really get my point across because we're going off on tangents. Does that make sense? I appreciate your questions. I just don't want to talk about them though. It's, like I said, it's not the topic that we are discussing. Yeah. So we are trapped in a limited sense of self by conditioned patterns of thinking and behavior. Does that make sense? Hi, Greg. How are you? I think it's time for meditation or working out. Thank you, Himanshu. I will bet I'm all like meditation is awareness, right? So if I'm aware right now, technically I'm already meditating. And I'm just speaking my truth, you know? That's it. So yeah. Oh, Greg, by the way, I checked out Ananda Ma, and oh my god, obsessed, made notes. It's what we're discussing right now. It's so interesting because I know you've read the true name as well. And the way that it aligns with that, the true name of what Osho was saying about how, you know, we need to follow God's will, which is something that we're actually discussing right now. Following God's will, you know, the hukam of God, and just accepting it and going with the flow of life, floating rather than like swimming against the current of life, and how important that is and how that helps us transcend the ego. And there are like different notes I made about what Ananda Ma had said about how we can I guess transcend the ego and become one with the divine self. You don't believe in yeah, transcend the do I believe in no, I don't believe in citizenship. And back to transcending the ego. So yeah, Anandamai said that you know, it's about having one of the ways in which we can do that is inquiry of the true nature of the self. What is your true self? Ask yourself, who are you? Thank you, Himanshu. You know what? Take care. Okay, I apologize if you were offended by anything I said. It's all love. Bye. But yeah, who are you? What is your truth? Are you just who, you know, are you just your name, your personality, where you're from, your citizenship? I like you too, Himanshu. I like you too. You know, or are you more than that? Are you just this limited story that you've been told? Are you just here to work like a rat in a system for the whole of your life, drink on the weekend, and then die? Hopefully having paid off your mortgage. Or not. Except it doesn't matter if you're dead, right? Right, and you're not. Can I answer this question? If I may. What you'll find through the inquiry of your true nature of the self is that you're not just your name and, you know, your this identity that you've created of yourself. You're far more than that. You're far more expansive. How can we have inquire? How can we inquire about the nature of the self? Well, you have to be quiet. You have to sit by yourself. You have to do deep observation and contemplation, and, you know, releasing of identification with thoughts and emotions. This is why meditation is recommended. And look, meditation, like I was discussing with Himanshu, you know, it should be happening all the time. When you're aware, when you're present, you are meditating. That is what meditation is. Maybe people don't always understand that, or maybe they get it confused, but I'm here to, I guess, eradicate those like confusion. Meditation is presence, it's mindfulness, it's awareness. And it doesn't just have to be sitting down and meditating. Okay, meditating is surrendered to the present moment. And it can be done in many different ways. It can be done through dancing. My sister told me a fact today. She said that a woman dancing equates to more meditation than a man sitting and meditating, because you're surrendering completely to the divine. You're allowing energy to flow through you, because okay, look, you're not just your body, but like your experience of life is through your body, right? A lot of it. So when we can be fully in our body, and to be in your body means to not be up here in your mental faculties, thinking, overthinking, logic, reason, facts, opinions, you know, views, all of that. This is why I say being too smart is not always a great thing. thinking too much is not always a good thing. You know, trying to, like, facts, reasoning, all of this is not always a good thing. There is wisdom that exists beyond that. There is wisdom that is, wisdom is to know, okay? Knowledge is like memory. It's facts. It's like a collection of facts that you, like, are stored in you. But wisdom is to just know. And that comes from your body. The heart has wisdom. The heart has intelligence that actually far supersedes the brain. Yet we have put the brain up here and the heart down here. Well, actually, the heart's probably like down here. You know, the gut has its own intelligence. But we don't listen to that. We don't listen to anything other than the brain. And all the brain does is overthink, right? But okay, with this also, though, it's not even like we are thinking thoughts. We're not actually thinking thoughts. We receive thoughts. We're not doing anything, really. God is always doing everything, but it's just about where we place our focus that matters. So, sit in contemplation. Just sit and just think, why am I actually here? Who am I? How, like, is being a human absolute? Is that the truth of my life? Have I been here before on earth? Have I lived a different life? What will happen after death? Am I actually just going to disappear? Living with awareness in every moment is the greatest joy in life. If you can become happy when just loading the dishwasher, then you're on the right path. Greg? I could have put it better myself, of course. Of course. That's it. You see, like, it's because it comes from the inside. It's not dependent on anything outside of you. It's not, I have to have my family, my kids, my house, a job. It's the mark of someone who's truly happy is someone who's truly happy all the time without needing anything outside of them, who's truly joyous and in bliss at all times without needing some people to be talking to them, this, or the other. Replace it with whatever, certain food, brownies, whatever, you know? Because, like, Ananda, my mom, what she says is, live a simple life. She says that external desires, wait, let me get it. To indulge in physical comforts is to turn aside from the communion with God. How to avoid brainwashing manipulative people. Isolate yourself from them. Stay away. If you know that they're like that, just stay away. Also make your inner world so strong that no one can penetrate it. You have to connect with yourself. You connect with yourself, you see the truth. No one can brainwash you. No one can do anything. You're not able to be manipulated by anything because you are so in touch with yourself. You're so in touch with the divine. You're so in touch with God that you see everything. You see through people. You've raised your consciousness. You're awake. People who get manipulated aren't awake. They are so lost in their own emotional dramas, in their own overthinking, in their own perceived shortcomings and just mental faculties that it's easy to just bamboozle them. Later they start to gaslight. Interesting. Pankaj, you know what I would always say? Take responsibility. That's what I say. I think that we should be responsible for everything. So you should be responsible for the fact that people do that. And say to yourself, look, why are people doing this to me? What is it in me that causes people to act like that? Because people don't just act randomly. There is nothing random in this world, okay? The more you connect with God, the more you understand that. The more you understand that it's God's will that is always taking place. And then you can try to think, okay, why is this taking place? What is God trying to teach me? And the thing is, look, you don't actually even need to understand that. But I guess it would be more of like, okay, what did I do to attract this energy into my life? We don't attract anything that we are not a vibrational match to. So this isn't about people. Don't put it on people, put it on yourself. Always bring it back to yourself. Because when we take responsibility is the ability to respond well. Can you respond well to this? How do you respond to this? Do you get mad at them? Do you isolate them? Do you think you're a victim now because this happens to you? You know, like, ask yourself these questions. Inquiry, self-inquiry. You're going to notice so many things. And the things that are happening, the habits that you have, the thoughts that you have, they are part of a conditioned thought process that you have developed that can be transcended. It can be transcended. You won't, once you've transcended these worldly things, none of these things will bother you anymore. You know, that's, I feel like that's what I'm trying, that is what I'm trying to teach here. That is the point that I'm trying to get to, that we don't have to be so lost in these emotional dramas, thoughts, patterns. Oh, this person's doing this person's doing that. Life is just so much more than that. Where the thought of God is, there he himself is present in the form of that thought. To seek truth is the one and only duty. Partake in activities that awaken godly thoughts and feelings. That is the thing that is the most important thing in your life. I keep running this point home over and over again. Your connection with the divine is the most important thing in your life. It dictates everything. The thing is, like I said, how do we know how big the ocean is if we've never seen it? How do we know that we've only discovered 5% of it? This is the same thing. You may not understand it. The fact that, like, how much you're missing if you don't have a connection to the divine. Because when you don't have a connection to the divine at all, and that's just me assuming, I'm going to assume that you don't, okay? So that I can teach from, like, a certain level upwards. But meet me where you're at, okay? Like, I'll try to meet you where you're at, but I'm just gonna, for the sake of including everybody, I'm just gonna assume that you don't have a relationship with the divine, you don't understand. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. You don't understand what you're missing because you don't even know what's missing. Does that make sense? You don't see the whole. But slowly, when you open yourself up to that, like, for example, this conversation right here, we're discussing God, right? And God is present here right now. Because God is present wherever you're thinking of. Her. Him. I'm glad it makes sense, Greg Brookman. Okay. Another really important thing is keep thinking on a high level, okay? A lot of times for example, I was sad yesterday, okay? Yes. Okay, are you gonna remember it? Do you want to write it down?
Yeah, I'll remember it.
You're gonna remember it, okay. It is 0908
0908
43 843 090843. Sorry, I was just giving my brother a verification code. Yeah, keep thinking on a high level, okay? Your thoughts dictate, because look, we're all thinking, right? Unless you can get to the point where you're fully sun samadhi at all times, which takes, you know, effort and consistency to get to. You're having thoughts. The quality of your thoughts determine the quality of your life. So have high level thinking. Yesterday I was sad and I was so aware of my thoughts, right? I was like, this is amazing because I get to be present and watch the way I think. And I noticed the thoughts I was having. I had thoughts that were like, I want to be sad. I love this. I love being, you know, I love thinking in a very, like, irrational way. Thinking everyone's against me, just like catastrophizing stuff, essentially. And the thing is, look, I was aware of it, okay? I knew this wasn't the truth. So essentially it was I'll just tell you what happened. My mom, I don't think she was in a great mood. I just don't think she's been feeling well recently, like mentally. So she was, I guess, like in a funny state, right? And that dictated how she was treating me and the way she was talking to me. And I just was really sensitive to her energy, and it really upset me that she was being distant from me. And yeah, I was just super overwhelmed by that. Okay, first of all, I want to explore that. I want to go into that because there were loads of things to uncover at this thing. So, okay, that happened. I was cooking and she was being really distant. I left the house because I had to get away, okay? I was like, I need to get away. I can't do this. Then I was like, okay, why am I running from my feelings? I want to like be present with how I'm feeling. What did I do? I was breathing, focusing on it. I was being present. You know what I was doing? I realized the way to be emotionally intelligent is to identify with the witness. It's to identify with God. Because let me write this down because I feel like I want to make a TikTok on this. Okay, emotional intelligence. I really like it because I was watching back one of my lives, like the one I did yesterday, and I'm writing in it and it looks like I'm left-handed. I accept God's will, okay? I accept that I am not left-handed, but I just thought it looks cool, okay? Identify with the witness, okay? Yeah, so we are, because there is a witness, right? There's always a witness, an observer that is present. There is an awareness that is present. So that is the key to emotional intelligence. You're having the emotions, you're watching the sensations in your body, you're watching them. You're not being with them, you're not lost in them. You're not like swimming with them and becoming one with them. You're stepping away from them and you're allowing them to be. It's like turning on a tap and just letting it run and just watching it, watching the water come out. You're not trying to stop it. You're not like trying to block it or put like a tissue in it and stop it. None of that. You're just allowing it to flow. It's like a river. A river wants to flow. If we block it, the pressure builds up, right? And that's like your emotions. You just want to be the observer, allow it to flow, sit with yourself, be present, okay? And just allow it to like leave. It'll just flush things out. Like the breath flushes energy out. Energy is energy. Sorry, emotions are energy, emotion, right? So I did that. And then I went and sat in the park by myself. And I was speaking to ChatGPT and I was just writing everything down to ChatGPT. And the thing is, I knew that it like she's just not feeling okay. Like my mom's just not happy, and I guess that's translating in the way she's treating me. Does she love me? Yes. Is this going to last forever? No, this is just temporary. Things are always changing, you know. And that's emotional intelligence, guys. That's like feeling something and just being in the moment and sitting with it and allowing it to be. And then you know what I thought after that? I was like, Priya, girl, you're so lucky. You're always happy. Everything's always working in your favor. The divine is always with you. Like, it's okay if you feel like this, okay? It's okay if you feel a little bit sad sometimes. It's okay, girl. It's not the end of the world. And you know what that is? I call that strength. I call that willpower. So, yay me. Not even yay Priya. Like, yay God. Thank you, God. You know, like, we want to eradicate Priya. Priya the ego does not exist. Don't you fight with your siblings. Do I fight with them? No, not really. I don't fight with them. We have misunderstandings. We may argue. I guess is that what you're saying? Argue at times, but I mean, to be honest, I think we're all at the stage where we're past that. You know, we have love, we have compassion, we have understanding. Even if I say something in the moment, I will come back. I will apologize. I will be. I like to hold myself accountable. You know, I'm not one to be scared to say sorry if I'm in the wrong, even if I don't see it in that moment and they have to point that out to me. Yeah, it may bruise my ego or whatever, but that's something that we're trying to transcend, right? Do you understand? The ego makes it really difficult to have relationships. A romantic relationship, why is there so much struggle? It's because of egos, right? We're trying to win. We're not on one team. We're not one. We're like, it's you versus me, baby. Do you understand? So yeah, you know, in that moment of like feeling sad, I was just aware, and then I just came home, I gave myself space, and then I woke up the next night, I was fine. And that is life. You know, a few years ago, had that happened to me, I would have held a grudge. I would have been upset. I probably would have like gone and bought myself some alcohol, smoked some cigarettes or something, because it's just too much for me and I can't deal with it and I need to do something. But I don't do that anymore. It's really interesting because when I stopped, I used to smoke weed as well. I used to smoke weed regularly, and when I stopped doing that, it was kind of like a crutch for me. You know, like an emotional crutch, like, oh, you feel sad, just like smoke, or you feel sad, just eat something or drink or whatever. And now I'm at the point where I don't like I've worked out of that habit, you know. I don't feel like I need to go drink or something, or like do something. I can just sit with it. I'm not gonna die. I'm okay. My Sanskrit teacher said, smile then laugh, then strong laughing, then when you are more excited with emotions, the body starts to move. That is called dancing. I love that. That is amazing. Moving your body, an amazing way to move energy through your body, right? Shaking, like because emotions are stuck in our body, it's energy, emotion. Shaking is amazing, like jumping, shaking, moving. This is why movement, exercise is so important, because you just have to get it out. But yeah, hence why I went for a walk. It really helped. I was in the sun. I was like, sun, give me your energy. Give me will. You know, even though I was upset. And that's okay. Hi, Pratham. Long time. How are you? But we're just talking about the ego and transcending the ego, why it's important, and how to connect with the divine. So if you're in for that, stay. So as long as the mind, I think you are in India. I'm not. I'm not in India anymore. I'm back in England. Hi, Himanshu. Long time no see. How are you, my friend? As long as the mind is filled with the awareness of his presence, then there can be real rest. What if someone takes advantage of you? How would you respond to that? I feel like I would need some context in this. Okay, someone has taken advantage of me. I was like, someone did fraud on me. They frauded money out of me. How did I respond? I just said, this is God's will. I generally said, and this was even before I had a connection with God, you know. I feel like it was very soon after this that I formed a connection to Sikhi and to learning about God and the divine, and like forming a stronger connection. But in that moment, I just said, this is God's will, whatever. Like, I'll learn from it. I'll be fine. I don't, because you know what? Look, in life, God doesn't punish, okay? God doesn't punish. This is also a video that I'm going to be making. God does not punish. God is so compassionate. God is not human, man. God is not like, I'm going to send you to prison. I'm going to burn you. You know, God is like, I love you. You messed up. Okay, babe, get up. We can go again. You messed up. Okay, babe. Not even like messed up, but like messed up, whatever. Let's go again. God is like a compassionate mother. You know why they constantly praise mothers and a mother's love, and they say heaven is under mother's feet? Why? Because a mother represents the divine, okay? That is what true love looks like. You think a mother, like there was this mother whose son was a serial killer, right? He was a psychopath. He was like, I want to cause my mom so much pain. How can I do that? I can murder her, or I can murder my sister, her daughter, and then she will suffer for the rest of her life because she'll be dead and I'll be in prison, and then I get to torture her the most in that way. He did that, and then she still used to go to prison to see him, because that is what a mother's love is, and that is what God's love is like. It is unrelenting. It's like, come on, babe, get up, go again, get up, go again. I just heard you were talking about weed. I came back. Yeah, I used to rely on it as an emotional crutch, and then I stopped, and then I actually gained some, I guess you could say, emotional independence, emotional intelligence, because I no longer relied on substances to soothe me, because that is what drugs are. That is what any addiction is. It's a self-soothing behavior. You didn't learn how to soothe yourself when you were a child. You didn't learn how to make yourself feel better when you're not feeling okay, how to sit with it. So then you chose to distract yourself, to escape from feelings of discomfort through these things. But you don't actually need that. You can just rely on yourself. Also, you can trust that this is temporary. Thoughts and emotions are temporary, honey. But should we be someone to whom no debt to screw over? You know what it is, Pankaj? It's your energy, okay? Boundaries don't have to be stated. They can be felt. People can feel when you are flimsy, okay? And also when people take advantage of you. Hi Mohit, by the way, welcome. So when people take advantage of you, the reason why people take advantage of you is because you allow them in, because you have holes in your aura, okay? You don't have a whole self. You don't have a strong sense of self. There are weaknesses in your energy field that people can sense, hence why you attract them in. People who vibrate really highly, they don't attract people who do that to them. They repulse them. They repel them. Not repulse them. I mean, they probably repulse them too, but they repel them. Does that make sense? So work on yourself. Stop focusing on other people. It's I feel like that maybe that's like the thing that I'm kind of sensing. It's like you're very focused on other people, on their actions, but you can't control them, Pankaj. All you can do is control who you are and what you do and your energy and your avasta, right? Your level of beingness, your strength, your energy field, your aura, your character. Work on those things. Hi Tristan, hope you're well. Good to see you. But yeah, Pankaj, stop. Don't focus on other people. You have to take responsibility, right? What's responsibility? The ability to respond well. Work on your ability to respond well, and you won't even be having to ask me these questions. So we need to be filling our mind with God's, like the awareness of God's presence at all times. This is what I realized with myself. I am well. I'm happy to hear you're well. Yeah, you need to be filling your mind with the awareness of God. So when I became, like, I guess you could say, I don't even want to say religious, because I feel like even the word religious has like is like taboo and like misunderstood, like weird. I just want to say the more I was connected to the divine, okay, because the divine, like I said, has no religion. God, like, religion is man-made, okay? God, I mean, okay, man-made, but God makes everything, so kind of like made through man, but I guess it was God's will, so God made it, whatever. Pratham, you're a little bit confused by your life. Tell me, Pratham, tell me, what is it that's confusing you? And say I'm feeling confused, because when you say I am, you're creating a state of beingness. Does that make sense? You're feeling confused, you are not. How to choose a good career. Okay, I would say pick something that lights your soul up. And define good career. What is it? What's a good career to you? Is it something that makes you lots of money? Is it something that fulfills you? Something that gives you happiness? Something that allows you to serve the world? What is it? Well, let's define that, you know? But yeah, when I came on this path of being more connected to the divine, because I didn't have a connection with God prior to that. Like I said, I used to be very like Western spirituality, okay? I understood God existed, I understood his consciousness, but there was just this like disconnect that I would feel. I couldn't feel like I was one with God. Like I would talk and be like, oh, God this, God that, but I didn't feel that thing in my heart. It didn't strike a chord within me. And now it strikes a chord within me. Like I can feel it. I can feel the presence, because now I know, I don't know, I can just feel God within me. I just know that God is the witness, the observer in me. I guess it's like a mixture of like the wisdom I'm learning from Bani, the Holy Scripture, right? The Sikh Holy Scripture. And then also meditating, I guess just contemplating and changing my habits, right? Like stopping doing certain things that I used to do, stopping distracting myself. I live a very simple life now, you know, like there's no clubbing, there's no drinking, there's no going out, there's none of that. There are no distractions, and I'm perfectly happy. Who would have thought? I would never have agreed with you. I used to look at people who didn't go clubbing and didn't party and didn't want to be going out all the time and you know, meeting new people. Not that I'm averse to it. I love meeting new people, you know, but it's not something I need. I don't need things outside of me anymore. Does that make sense? Like I'm fulfilled from the inside. And that's what we're all seeking. We want fulfillment, right? But we don't understand that it comes from inside of you. There's an abundance of it. You just have to go within you. And like I said, self-inquiry, right? Self-inquiry. And then, you know, and this happens through deep observation and contemplation and the releasing of identification with thoughts and emotions. You are not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're contradicting yourself. You said God is the truth, and you said that you don't believe in God. I said I don't believe in God. No, I said that. No, I don't mean I don't believe in God. I feel. Why would I say that? Did I actually say that? I do believe in God. God is the truth. Maybe I was referring to the preconception, like the misconception of God. Was that it? But no, God is the truth. God is everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Other things that you can do. Yeah, maybe beside me, I'm sure you have the ability to never stop when you start talking. I do. I mean, it's a live, right? I guess we're all here to watch me talk, so I gotta talk. Okay. Embrace the totality of life. It's what we've been speaking about. How surrendering to life is the best thing you can do. There is no point in imposing your will. I used to be someone who would go to school and come back, and there was this guy I used to like, right? I was obsessed with him, and I would just be like, oh my god, like, what if this happened? Oh my god, we're going on a trip. Oh my god, imagine if we like sit next to each other. Oh my god, like, what if he talks to me? Oh my god, this. And when these things wouldn't happen, when we weren't in the same group, when he would, like, there was no way we would be interacting, I would be so sad, okay? Because the script I have written, the script I have created, the thing that I am trying to impose, my will that I'm trying to impose on the world wasn't happening for me. And then I'm upset, right? But this is what happens when you try to impose your will on life. What was meant to happen was going to happen. It was never meant to be in that way, right? And you just have to accept that. When we can just take everything in the same way, when we can treat sorrow and joy in the same way, when we can treat praise and insult in the same way, in a way of like where we don't react. You know, don't get really happy if someone praises you. That's your ego. Like, people want to transcend their ego, but then, you know, they think ego is just, oh, if someone insults me, like, I won't get upset. But it's if someone praises you, um mysterious Tristan, you know, if someone praises you, you get happy. That's an ego, right? Because why are we being, like, if you're going to be affected in one way, like, you're going to react when you get an insult, then you're going to react when someone praises you. But the point of it all is to be non-reactive, because when you are living from the witness, the observer doesn't react. The observer is just unemotionless. It is silent. It's just doing nothing. It is like the epitome of nothingness, the epitome of like nothing is happening, no effort, no action, nothing. But the thing is, it's kind of what's the word, it starts with P, a paradox, because it is nothingness, but it is everything at the same time. It is doing nothing, yet it is full of infinite potential. You see why it's so out of our understanding? Like, I just don't feel like some people will get that. And I can't even grasp that fully, to be honest. Because there's one thing thinking about it, and there's one thing experiencing it, embodying it, witnessing it, you know? But we can try. And I guess the closer that we actually get to the divine within ourselves, like the closer we connect to ourselves, aka the divine, the more we'll be open to witnessing that. Because under the sage that I keep talking about, I feel like I can't pronounce her name, and I should be able to. Okay, I'm kidding. Like, there's no shoulds, right? Whatever happens, happens. But yeah, the sage, the Indian sage that I'm talking about, oh, I think you're from the North Korea. Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, the sage that I'm talking about, what was I gonna say? What was the point? It's coming back. It's coming back. It's coming back. It's gone. It's gone. We'll move on. Working with subtle energy. Ah, it's gone. Okay, I'm willing to surrender to the moment of I clearly was not meant to speak about that thing right now. So we will leave it. We will leave it. So One thing that the sage, you were talking about being the witness, okay. But why was it to do with this under one of my... It's okay. It's gone. We'll let it go. Let me see. Yeah, I guess I was talking about accepting life, you know, just accepting everything that happens. Because we are so limited, right? Like when I say we, and like when I refer to the self, I mean the smaller self, which is the ego self. Because the big self obviously isn't limited. But that's the thing. Who do you identify as? Do you identify as the smaller self? Or do you identify as the big self? The big, eternal, everlasting, self-creating, has always existed, will always continue to exist self. And okay, so I think that the sage, the Indian sage, talks about is living with simplicity and inner focus. What do you do, Priya? I thrive. Yeah, I thrive. I live. I'm being. That's what I do. Living with simplicity. I feel like people think maybe it's because it's like the kind of culture we live in, that the more that you can kind of I mean, God is everywhere. God is nature. Is nature handsome or pretty? You tell me. Living with simplicity. Okay. People think that living with simplicity is like them not winning in life, because I feel like maybe how do I earn money? I'm a vessel through which money flows through. So it just flows through me. God. It's God's will. Yeah, simplicity. We think that the more complicated our life is, like the more that we have, maybe we can discuss that. You know, the more that we have, the more fulfilled we will be, and that's the goal. Like there are so many people who want things, but they don't actually want them. They feel like they should want them because other people convince them that they should want them, right? Society convinces you that you should want these things, but you may not necessarily want them. Like it may not be your heart's desire to live such a complicated life. Maybe you just want a really simple life. So you know, simplicity is about not needing things outside of you. It is being fulfilled and overflowing from the inside out rather than the outside in. Because if material gain, money, the thing is, obviously, it is. I mean, I say that, but it's not even necessarily the case, because there are people who don't actually have money. Like for example, I guess sannyasins, they don't have money. They kind of feed off the land, like they go live in mountains, and people just donate food to them. You know, when you trust in God, like God just provides. Okay, there's not an economic system that you have to think about. You don't have to think about a job and a career and all this nonsense that we have created. I feel like when we do that, we're going out too much. We're way too out. We're out there, okay? We're out there in this world. Come back. Come back to yourself. Come back. Come back to the truth. God is everywhere. God is energy. God provides. Believe in God. God's support is always there, right? And it's true. How do you know it's not true? Have you ever tried? That simplicity never be achieved by human creatures. See, I guess, but then that's just your opinion, right? Because I feel like some people have. Just because maybe we haven't doesn't mean that some people haven't, and that it's not possible. It is possible. It's possible for everybody. Just cut down the things that you need. You think that you need to buy clothes all the time. You think that you need to change your car every year. You need to buy the newest phone all the time. You know, the newest watch, the new this, new that. Like you don't. It's just a mirage, isn't it? It is. It's a mirage. It's literally a dream. It is like winning at Monopoly. Like, I can't think of a better example than that. Being rich in this life is like winning a Monopoly. It's a game. and it'll be over. It's not the truth. You stop playing eventually, right? There's the period before you play, then you play, Monopoly exists, and then you stop playing, and it ceases to exist. And that is life, my friends, amigos, right? It's very temporary. So if you want to play something temporary, then you can play. You can play with this game of Maya of, let me get lots of Monopoly money. Let me just win, like, by which I mean like real money, I guess. But the thing is with money, I feel like people don't understand money. Money is based on value, right? Money represents value. The more you value yourself, the more money you have. It's a mindset, right? Like people who are poor think differently to someone who's rich. Fact. Because your thinking like the quality of your thoughts dictate your life. Poor people don't believe they are undeserving, right? And then they get what they expect. They don't expect much. They expect to be poor. They live in lack. They are not connected to God. When you're connected to God, you have everything. You don't need a job. You don't need anything like that. Because like I said, a job is just man-made. You think people don't get money without a job? You think that you can't get abundance? The thing is, abundance is not just limited to money, to physical money. Abundance is everywhere. It's food that you get. I mean, we get so much abundance from the earth, right? For free. She gives. She's plentiful all the time. I was picking blueberries earlier. I went on a walk and there's just blueberries on the side of the road and I was picking them and eating them. It was great. And they're everywhere. And so many people were eating them. I didn't have to pay anybody. I didn't have to have a job to get money to go have that, But it's about value. It's about the way that you think and the way that you move in this world. Everything you must take responsibility for. That's what I'm trying to say. Some people can just say, like I remember I used to post TikTok videos and I think it was like about money and stuff, and then someone was like, well what about a single mother who like it's not her fault, she's poor, so something like that. And I was like, what? Like, we're just taking this away from the point. Like, you can't make excuses, right? We can't think like victims. When we think like victims, when we identify as a victim, what happens? More victimization. Who do you identify as, And then, okay, see, interesting point. Identity. So there's a self-image everybody has, and your self-image dictates your life because we will always align with that self-image, right? There's like a famous quote that Tony Robbins says. He said that one thing that humans are most loyal to is their self-image. So I did something, okay? I like changed my self-image. I looked at who I would identify as, and that Priya was a very different Priya to who I wanted to be. And then I created an image of who I wanted to be and the qualities that she had and the way that she looked. And then I feel like a level higher than that, where I was like, okay, but I'm God. God has like no qualities, but God has everything, like I'm everything and nothing at the same time. I don't even want to align with this prayer because that's just another spiritual ego another ego that I've created. Greg, the world we see is temporary and constantly changing. The divine, unchanging and infinite. Our only goal in life should be to connect with the divine. Greg, yes, that is it. That could be my description for this live when I post it. That is it. That's literally it. That it should be our most important. That should be our aim in life. Okay, to connect with the divine at all times. Talk about the divine. Thank God. Talk about how great God is. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine the like how your energy would be, like who you would be, like what your level of consciousness would be if you just sat there all the day, every day, just talking about how great God is. And it doesn't have to be specific God. It's just God. There's only one God. So it doesn't have to be like, okay, what's God's name? Is it Allah? Is it Waheguru? Is it Hari? Is it Ram? Is it Krishna? Is it Vishnu? Is it Jesus? It's just God. Okay? Source, the divine. And then we just talk about, like, sing God's praises, like, thank you, God, and be, connect, and then try to connect with God and just connect with ourselves. Like, that's the most important thing. like my connection with God, it's changing everything. It gives me power. Like God, first of all, God blessed me with this. God blessed me with the ability to connect with her, him, okay, for language sake, her, him is something that I have to say. But yeah, him, let's just say him. I say her, I don't know, whatever, her. You know, God blessed me, and I was able to have that connection with God, and now I'm able to talk about my experience with God. And the thing that I saw, the change that I saw in myself was that I would remember God at all times. Like I go through life, and I don't know, I guess I'm not always, but like increasingly so, I'm always remembering God. And you know, there's something that the Indian sage said. She said that never let the mind be idle, okay? I don't know how much you guys know about mantras and japa and stuff like that, but it's mantras are things that you repeat, right? It can be like a certain mantra. It could be the Gayatri mantra, which is like a Hindu mantra, which is Om Bhuva Swaha. I'm just showing off now. It's my spiritual ego. She's coming out to play. It's Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yonah Prachodayat. Okay, I learned this from a guru, and it's about Gayatri. Gayatri Ma is the god's son, the sun goddess. So what I do is I'll repeat the Gayatri mantra to the sun, and then what I'm doing is I'm asking for the sun for her energy, and then also asking for the people who I care about, for them to receive this energy. Like the surplus of energy you are giving me, give it to the people I care about also. So I'm like blessing people as well as like myself. There's another mantra, there's the Mool mantra, for example, which is in Sikhi, which is Ek Oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Sepang Gurprasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Happy Sach Nanak Hosi Pi Sach, which is something that is mentioned in Osho's book. And Greg, you probably know about this because you've been reading the book. But yeah, I can break that down. So Ek Oankar, one, Ek is like one, and then Oankar is God, one creator. Wait, why is it, okay, give me a second. Is this from the outset? Okay, he is Omkar. Okay, so Ek is he is one, Omkar is he is Omkar, Satnam, the truth, the supreme truth. So Omkar is referring to Om, okay, and Om is the resonance of being, of existence. So all existence is created out of sound, and sound is an expression of energy. When a person reaches samadhi, which is like highest level of bliss, I guess, like oneness, Omkar resounds within him. So Omkar is the melody of existence, the very being of existence. It has no meaning. Omkar simply means the sound of Om. So you've probably heard of like Om, but like repeating Om is I guess the vibration of existence. Like even if you do it now, like Om, you can feel it. Like if you just sit and you do that, you keep doing that, it's going to change how you feel, right? It's going to change your frequency. I feel like people become like enlightened by it maybe as well. It helps. There was someone who was spiritually aligned, I guess, and could hear things. So she was like, I can hear the moon, like the ocean saying Om. I can hear, hi Ria, I can hear nature, the trees vibrating Om. Okay, so Om is the resonance of being. So that is what Mool Mantra is saying, right? And Satnam. Sat means beingness and existence. And Satya, so Sat is like Sat and Satya. So Satya is truth and validity. So in life, we have to have the head and the heart, okay? And Osho says that a religious person incorporates the head and the heart. Whereas, for example, the artist will only incorporate the heart, and the scientist will only incorporate the head. But there's always a mismatch because both are needed. And God has both. God has head and heart, right? God is like logic and validity and truth and science. And God is also the heart, which is beingness, existence, magic. Both are needed. When the heart and the mind meet, religion begins. If the mind overpowers the heart, science is born. If the heart overpowers the head, the realm of art is entered. If head and heart are united, you enter into Omkar. Okay? And then we have Kartarpur. So Kartarpur is the village of the creator because that's where Guru Nanak Ji. Guru Nanak Ji was born, I believe. And no, he settled in Kartarpur. So Kartarpur is the next word in the Mool Mantra from the Holy Scripture of Sikhism, which is one of the first things that Guru Nanak Ji said after he came out from spiritual enlightenment. Basically, he just had a fresh conversation with God, came back, and he said these words. Fresh from heaven, fresh from God, okay? Kartarpur. Kartarpur is the creator, self-created. No one created God. Self-created. It's, like I said, we are God's creation. God is the creator and the dance itself, right? So, Kartarpur, when we have fear, right? It says fear is when the other is. So only God exists, right? God is the one. So when you have fear, you believe in something other than God because God is the only thing that exists. And if you have complete faith in God, you have no fear. That's why it says Kartarpur Nirpal, which is what I have tattooed on me, Nirpal in Gurmukhi, which means fearless because there is no other. There is only oneness, Ek, oneness. This oneness is what Lao Tzu talks about in Taoism. It is what Buddhism talks about. It is what, I guess, Islam talks about as well, right? There is only one God. Different religions are just different pathways to the same thing, to the divine. Okay, I think we're gonna call it a day today. I'm gonna call it a day? Yeah, I don't know what the term is. We're gonna call it adios, baby. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm just getting a little bit tired. I think I just need to rest a little bit. Like my voice, you know. But I hope you enjoyed it. If like I always say that, but I mean, I guess the hope is, should I have desires and goals and dreams and expectations? No. So it's been fun. I enjoyed it. Bye. I hope to see you soon. Take care. I love you. Have the best day ever.